Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are in another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies.
Woohoo!
Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Peter. Good morning,
Good morning,
Naomi.
Bill. Good morning, Peter.
How's everybody?
We're
Feeling
talking
the
loud
Waltons.
today
We're talking loud. We want to make sure that we want to make sure Peter's got his mouth by the microphone.
because some people are far away
Yeah,
in Wisconsin and California and Hawaii,
we want to make sure they can hear
Australia.
Clear
Hello,
over there.
Australia. My cousin's in Australia.
us.
Hi, Tommy.
Exactly. So we're on episode number 97, Peter. So here's my question.
Y'all.
I only have one question for you so far,
Probably the same question I had earlier.
which is, go ahead, you ask.
How's that mind melding music coming along?
Was that what it was? Mind melding? Wall melting?
Wall
paint
melting. You
peeling,
said it.
mind melding.
Oh, my goodness. So she asked the question.
Yeah. Well, I planted some sod and I put some mulch down.
No.
And I put some stone and border and fabric under the porch and I got that all nice. What? And that's what I've done on the music. Well, I listened to
That would be a non sequitur answer.
I've thought of music in my head.
You're diverting
And
the
I've
question.
thought of beats and like what kind of emotion I want it to be, how fast I want it to be. And I heard a Ringo song this morning that was nice and sprightly, so I like the beat of that one. So that's as far as I've got, like general
At
thoughts.
least you're thinking
Which
about
way
it.
am I going? Yeah.
Well, you only got a few more weeks to go because we're on show number 97.
Well, the real problem is I haven't talked to my friends in months.
Uh-huh. No.
No? Yeah,
No,
I haven't.
No,
I haven't.
No.
Wait, is that where you get your inspiration from?
No, that's where I record.
Pete. I want it
What
to
is it,
be just you.
Yeah, but Bill, they do the recording.
Okay.
Yeah, they do the
We
recording.
could do the recording right here.
No, he couldn't. No, he can't.
Yeah, we can.
No, he
Yeah,
can't.
You need the right
No,
equipment.
not my stuff.
No, we couldn't.
No, we couldn't.
No.
Oh, boy.
And I haven't talked to my friends in months. So it's like, hi, you want to help me?
So
All
now
right.
start paving the way.
I have to return
Hey,
his book
how's
that I
it
finished
going?
reading. And then I have to like, hey, you want to go out for breakfast? I blow them off all the time. I'm always busy. Sorry, I can't go. You know. Like
So for those of you that didn't listen to last week's show, we decided last week that our 100th anniversary or 100th show, which we're going to call an anniversary. No, it's our birthday, not an anniversary. What am I talking about? It's our birthday, 100 show birthday. Peter's going to make us a new intro instead of the one we have, the music one that we have. So we're going to change it up a little bit, and I want like pure electric guitar rock and roll for a minute and a half.
okay,
Just Peter jamming on his guitar.
coming.
Yeah.
And then another one for the exit.
A
So you
different
gotta
one.
have two of them. Yeah.
Duh. Well,
Come
we-
on, Pete.
Well, we take the first one and cut it in half for the exit.
No.
Come on.
All right, episode number 97. You ready?
No, I have a question. Once I make this wonderful music and the 100th episode happens, how do we celebrate besides my music? Like, where's the lobster?
Lobster.
Where's the veal Oscar?
lobster?
Where's the candles and the cake?
I'll tell you what.
Oh,
What I would prefer to do, Naomi's not going to want to do.
yeah.
We could go up to, what is that place in Rhode Island?
Oh, the buffet.
The buffet. Yeah, what is that called?
Nordic
over-
Lodge.
The
It's
Nordic
called-
Lodge.
It's called the overpriced buffet.
Could
A
you
lobster's a lobster.
Imagine bringing Naomi in there,
That would
paying
be like
$100 for a meal.
And then she gets like a little bit
Celery.
of lettuce.
Yeah, and she
Celery.
gets a bowl of salad for $100.
The very best salad, though.
The very best.
No, I've seen her eat. She's skinny, but she can eat as long as it's the right kind of food.
No, she has a trick. She eats like once a week.
What?
What happened?
Let's get some data to back that claim up.
Yeah, exactly.
To be
I
So-
only
fair,
see you. I only
she-
see you
she
eat.
could-
I see you eat once a week. Okay.
There you go. So she could do good because it's seafood. So you eat seafood, right?
Fish.
Oh, fish.
Not all seafood.
Yeah, well, there's plenty of it there. All right, episode number 97. Ready?
No. Yes.
No, yes. Which
Yeah,
one
we're
is it?
ready. Come on, Bill. Come on.
A part-time business that produces a full-time income.
Ooh. That is so sexy.
Because that's what we're working on, right? That's so sexy. So here's a description. So it's, I don't even know what to say to that, Naomi.
Just keep reading.
Anything I say is
keep-
going to get me in trouble.
Just
so.
keep reading.
Yeah.
Take that as a comment, ignore it, and go
Number
on.
97.
Roll on.
Acknowledge it and move on. A part-time business that produces a full-time income. It's so easy to be busy. It's more difficult to be productive.
A case in point. Music.
Oh my God, that was
No, music is good.
no.
She who likes to sing and wants to
But-
be on the record doing something.
But you've been busy.
Not
No, I don't
productive.
know. I don't know if my voice could keep up with your like
Yeah, no, I want a
crazy
total
electrical.
jamming.
Yeah.
All right, it's easy to be busy. It's more difficult to be productive. The real art is to be productive without being pushy. Success is doing more of the right things and a lot less of the wrong things. Making the right decisions and having the right mindset puts you on the road to abundance. In today's podcast, we will help you to start traveling that road and get you out of your own way. What do you think? You tell where my mind is at?
Yeah, well, I'm kind of there too. I'm running around busier than ever. And
Planting gardens.
no,
Oh,
mulch,
mulch.
stone,
Okay.
blue crush,
Okay.
paint, stuff. More work stuff, but it takes a while to get the job done. So you wait and you work and you work and you wait and you wait and you work, and then it happens.
Okay.
But it's tough for a while. And I'm thinking, should I be doing something smarter than this? So I'm listening today.
Okay.
All right.
Good. What do you think?
I was distracted during the whole thing. Can you read it again?
Oh my God.
Give me the phone. Give me the phone.
Part-time,
by what?
Show number 97. She was too busy being sarcastic. A part-time business that produces a full-time income. It's easy to be busy. It's more difficult to be productive.
Yeah.
The real art is to be productive without being pushy. Success is doing more of the right things and a lot less of the wrong things. Making the right decision and having the right mindset puts you on the road to abundance. In today's podcast, we will help you start traveling that road and get you out of your own way.
Yeah. In fact, I think being busy is another form of procrastination.
Yep.
And you think that, I'm so busy, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But there's a thing called eat the frog. Have you
Yep.
heard of it?
No, tell us.
So eat the frog.
Here we go. We're back to food again, Pete. Now we know why.
But Bill, it's
Hey,
meat. Bill, it's meat.
I wonder if the Nordic Lodge will have frogs.
Every morning I eat the frog. So what that means is there's this thing that you have to do. You have to do it in the back of your mind. And it's the thing that is triggering other things. And usually for a business, that's outbound calls or whatever it is. The marketing is whatever your marketing is, typically. But it can be something else too. But typically it's the marketing that people usually get busy, doing little things, because marketing, for whatever reason, sometimes people have a mind block with it. I know I struggle with it, but because I'm naturally shy. And so, to get out.
You're naturally shy.
I'm naturally so shy.
Yeah, okay.
And well, at least,
me
maybe
too,
25 years ago.
Me too, Bill.
But so if you do that one thing and get that out of the way, then all those other little things that you keep busy with, they just naturally fill your time and you can get them done much smoother. But you need to get that one thing done first.
Right. So where did eating the frog? I'm waiting for the frog thing.
It's it's some saying put out by somebody. It's like one of those success books or.
Can you
Google Eat the
Google
Frog.
Eat the Frog and tell us what the heck she's talking about?
So
over
does that
here,
mean
please?
you don't want to eat the frog because it's a frog, but you do it, and then you go on to the better
I
stuff?
guess maybe
Yeah,
because it has
yes.
warts and it's ugly and
And it's,
Well, I don't want to eat a frog. I don't care how pretty it is.
right.
And some of them are poisonous. Be careful.
Maybe it's like one of these fairy tale stories about kissing the frog.
kissing the frog.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Anyways, so
Yeah, don't eat it. Kiss it.
Interesting thing that you bring up there, because I've consulted a lot of businesses, especially in the automobile industry.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I used to ask them when I sat in front of them, because I traveled the country 40 weeks a year. We did a seminar 40 weeks a year. And I probably consulted on the average of 300 or 400 auto repair shop owners a year.
Wow.
And that was
Wow.
nose to nose, toe to toe, 30 to 60 minute consultation.
Wow.
They would give me their profit and loss statement
Mhm.
prior to meeting them.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I met them, I would know exactly what was going on with their business, just
Wow.
off the profit and loss statement. And at first it was hard, and they trained me how to do it, but as usual, I took it a little bit further than that,
Mm-hmm.
and started realizing that there were symptoms of diseases. And once I saw the symptoms and I understood the diseases, then the diagnostic, I was kind of like triage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like in a hospital triage, they get you in there and they figure out what's wrong with you so they know where to send you in the hospital, right?
Right.
So that was kind of like my job for the consulting firm. Was I was triage. You know, I would like
Mhm.
figure out what they needed, and I knew where to give them, and I would kind of like write a mini program on what they needed for consulting, and then I would sell the consulting to them and
Mhm.
then send them over to the consultant. But my point in telling you that long story is that I can't tell you how many businesses say what you just said. They don't understand the marketing,
Mm-hmm.
or they don't do it.
Right.
You know, and I have that same trouble even in my business.
Yeah.
You know, it's the amount of outflow begets the amount of inflow.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're outflowing a lot, then you will get inflow. Last night we did a meetup, and after we get done with the meetup, I had 3 people come up to me. Now, how many people did we have there? It wasn't many.
It's 14, 15.
Okay, that's what Emma said. So 3 people is a big percentage of the room, right? 3 people came up to me and said, "Oh man, I know what's matter now." I'm like, "Really?" Almost verbatim, each one of them. What's that?
What did they say again? They know what?
I know what's the matter now.
You know what's the matter.
What's the matter now?
Ah.
And I'm like, "Okay, what is it?" And they're like, all 3 of them are coaching clients. And I said, "What's the matter?" And they're like, "I'm just not doing enough outflow. I'm not making enough calls."
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I threw out was a statistic that we talk about is
Yeah.
just to get 50, to buy 2 or 3 houses a month, you have to have 50 leads.
And to get those 50 leads, it takes what, about 150 plus calls
Yeah,
or touches?
I don't know how many. I don't know if we haven't figured
depends on
that
the-
number
it de-
out, but if
right.
it's usually a 5-to-1 ratio, you're gonna.
Right.
What the hell is that? We got something flying around. It
it's
looks
a
like a
stink-
mini bat.
It's a stink bug. Don't
Stink bug?
Yeah, don't squash it. That's
Yeah.
why they call it a stink bug.
Okay.
I think we had some pretty brutal weather in Connecticut, and
Oh
it's
my
kind of
God.
like brought out some.
Well, I didn't. I thought they were hyping that there were tornadoes, but I heard on the news this morning there was actually
Mhm.
2 tornadoes, which we've never heard of in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Not that I have, anyway.
And it
Oh,
did-
we get a
did
couple
some-
once in a while,
Yeah.
but they're not real big.
So, anyways, so the marketing is the hardest aspect,
Mhm.
because I think the reason why marketing is so difficult is because it has a lot to do with personalities
Yeah.
and how people think and psychology, and a lot of people don't understand that. Most don't. you
Right.
know. But more importantly, what I would tell these guys, which is the point that I'm trying to make here in a long discussion, is that a good test of your success is to walk out your front door of your business and either choose left or right, I don't care which way it is, and walk to the next corner and ask somebody on that corner where your business is. You know, like, where's ABC
right.
Plumbing?
Right.
And see what they say. And that's a test of whether or not you're in non-existence or not.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are, then you have work to do. Like, for example, if we did it here, nobody knows. I mean, I think my neighbor in the back knows that I buy and sell houses,
Right.
but the rest don't.
Right.
You know, I mean, of course, I'm kind of hiding my business in my house,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Which is going to have to change soon. It's just going to have to, because, yeah. You know, one of the things that I talked about last night in the meetup is that when you start flipping more than 3 or 4 houses a month, 3 or 4 houses a year,
Mm-hmm.
it changes your tax status.
Mm-hmm.
So when you change your tax status, a lot of other things come involved. You know, like if you're flipping
Business things.
2 or 3 houses a year,
Mm-hmm.
then you can just claim them as assets and just take the write-offs and just it's a 15% tax bracket.
Right. And you might want to be considered a professional real estate.
Yeah, once you become once you get 4, 5, 10 houses,
Mm-hmm.
then you're a flipping business, and now it becomes a 30% tax status.
Right.
But it also pulls in other expenses and other things that you can
Mhm.
use, and
Right, for write-offs and
yeah,
so on and so forth. Right.
so it's a tough jump to make. But anyway, so the point is that if you're in non-existence, that's one thing you got to look at is how
Mhm.
do you come out of that non-existence,
Right.
right? How do you let people know? I mean, Pete and I have talked about a lot about there's a realtor in every town, right? I mean, sometimes in my town there's 4 or 5 of them,
Right.
and they have offices, and it's out front. It says ABC Realty,
Yeah, pictures of houses in the window and
Right.
come on in.
right?
Right.
But what do we have? There's no contrast. So when somebody wants to sell a house, where do they go?
Right.
There's only one
They go
game
to
in
the
town.
realtor.
They go to the realtor.
Yeah.
Right. So and I've been looking and I haven't found one yet, but I've been looking for that building, a small building that we can paint stark yellow, like the signs, right? And then on top put "We Buy Houses."
Right.
At least there's a contrast. Otherwise, I would not be interested in having any type of a building or anything. But it would be a contrast, like, oh, I'm going to sell my house.
Mhm.
Maybe I should go down there and check those guys out.
Right.
It's a contrast
They
to a
buy
realtor.
houses.
They buy houses. It says
Mhm.
in the title. It's not the name of my business, but it would say "We Buy Houses,"
Mm-hmm.
right? And just put that contrast there, right? So how many of us investors? Well, let's put it this way. You and I have talked about this, Naomi, and I've put a lot of thought into this. I'm off on a tangent at this point, but think of it this way. And I think I told you September 13th of 1949
Mm-hmm.
is when the Realtor Association, actually when the word realtor was trademarked.
Right.
And then in October of that year, 1949, they made a Realtors Association. And that's the beginning of where we are now,
Right.
right? So I keep saying to you and whoever listens to me, right, well, why don't we make a We Buy Houses Association, and why don't we get strong? Because that's what's wrong. It's a bunch of individuals like me out there teaching
Yeah.
how you do it,
Exactly.
and we don't get together and make an actual association that it can actually combat.
We all need to unify.
Yeah,
And
Problem is,
right.
we're the rebels.
yeah,
I
We're the
don't-
independent rebels.
Yeah.
Don't follow the pack.
right,
Don't want to be a realtor. And so we stay on our own.
right.
We're not pack animals, but we should organize better.
Which is the reason why when you come into the industry, it's so hard to learn it.
Mm-hmm.
Because who do you listen to?
Exactly, because everybody's got their own individual,
Right,
ship,
Right.
sailing.
right, right.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about again last at the meetup. The stages of how you're going to learn is you start with ignorance. You just don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go into awareness, right? You start getting aware of, oh, wow, I could do this, or I could do that, or I could do this. And that's usually the RIAs. They go in and every month there's a different speaker and they give you a different idea. So you get aware of this, and then next month you get aware of something else, and you get aware of something else, and you
Slowly, gradually.
yeah, and you buy this and you buy that, and you try this and you try that, and nothing really sticks because nobody gives you the full
Instruction.
picture of
Yeah.
what can happen.
Exactly.
Right, which has always been my complaint, which is why we have the blueprint course,
Right.
right? Which to this day we never talk about it, but to this day you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com and you'll find the blueprint course, and that's
Right.
the purpose of the blueprint course. I think we sell that for $97.
Right.
The reason is because it gives you the full overview of the business, so then you can choose which part of the business you want to do or all of it. I mean, my philosophy has always been cast a big net, and when it comes my way, have an offer,
Mm-hmm.
which is why I have 7
Right.
offers.
Right, and I think that a lot of people only know maybe one offer or 2
Right.
offers, and even those offers, they're a little bit shaky on exactly what, how to do it. And
Right.
Yeah.
So it's important that, to me, it's important that if somebody comes my way, I know how to give them an offer.
Right.
My stable datum has always been, if you give me a house, like I get this all the time, like especially my meetups. Oh, my friend has this house at 123 Main Street. You should call him. He's looking to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't. Because the only offers that I make are people that have reached out to me and are saying, I want to sell my house.
Right.
If they're not asking me, if the seller's not asking me,
Mm-hmm.
right, or if they're not, I don't want to say begging's not the right word, but if they're not interested in what I have to say,
Right.
then I don't want to talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm picky about who I make my offers to, because I feel like, you know, my wife has been ill lately, so we were with a doctor
Mm-hmm.
yesterday, and I was quizzing the doctor up to find out that she had 13 years of schooling experience and then 5 years of practice experience. So it's 18 years. And I walked away and I said to my wife, I said, no wonder why we pay that much money. It took her 18 years to get
to
what
that
she's
skill
telling
level.
us in a 30-minute conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It took her 18 years to get to
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel the same way with me. I
With-
mean, I tell you guys stuff.
Yeah.
It took me 15 years to get there.
Exactly.
You know, and I don't know how much she spent, but I bet you any amount of money I got goddamn close to $100,000 in my education.
Sure.
I'll bet you. I mean, I've never added it up. I lost track at 60 that I just wrote out of the checkbook. You know, and forget about the mistakes and problems in the houses that I had problems with. I don't even count those.
Yeah.
You know, and so you have ignorance first, and then you have awareness. Once you get aware, the more you do, the more aware you get. And then after that, you have implementation, which is the hardest part for most.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you get done with implementation, then you start doing, delegating, right? Because after a while, you're going to not want to answer the phone every time. And after a while, you're not going to want to make 50 phone calls.
Right. Right.
You know, after a
Well,
while,
it's-
you're going to
it's
want to
just
just make offers.
Bad use of time too. When you get to a certain skill level,
Right.
and you're doing the things that anybody could do without, it's a bad waste. You know,
Right.
bad use of time.
Right.
So you have to delegate.
So when we're talking about, having a part-time business that produces full-time income, most people want to skip through ignorance, awareness, and implementation and go right to delegation.
Right.
And that's why they have trouble with learning this business,
Mm-hmm.
is they're trying to do a part-time, which you can do a
Because-
part-time.
Because they can do delegation, and they get the VAs, and then they get the leads. But because they haven't had that full thing, when they get the leads and they're on the phone, they don't know how to talk to them.
Right.
And then boom, it just falls apart.
And in fact, a lot of times, we talk, I know that we talk in the meetup or on the podcast, or, words to say and things to say.
Mhm.
And when you start making offers, you'll soon realize that that's the magic. Like the sentence, what would have to happen for me to buy your house today? Sounds too simple, but
Just cuts to the core.
you get an offer. They give
Right.
you an offer.
They give you an offer, and then you can kind of, okay, well, here's how it works.
Right.
Again, verbiage that you have.
So what I was thinking was, we could kind of like, I was thinking mindset, but hey, Em, could you get me my notes from the meetup from last night? They were I put them in that turquoise bucket. Oh, could you get it, please? So I was thinking that maybe we could go through like a short checklist, but let's keep going while Emma goes and gets that for me. Because I forgot to grab it before we got here. So, the interesting thing is I wrote some notes this morning about, like I wrote things like, if you, I mean, this is, everybody knows this, but it's apropos for what we're talking about this morning. If you provide the right inputs, you get the outputs you want.
Yeah.
So, I'm in a cluttered industry. There's so many people that teach how to buy real estate with no money down. It's such a cluttered industry that I'm coming in the tail end of it, and not that what they are teaching is incorrect, but I think what makes me different is that I've really dumbed it down and made it really simple, and made it so that you could get a quick result and actually be in this business. Because we talked about the Henry Ford model, right, where Henry Ford felt like he wanted to make it so every American could drive an affordable car, which obviously he did. But because of that, I mean, he built, things like assembly lines and 40-hour work weeks, and he got people to man it up, because everybody else was paying $3 a day. He paid $5 a day, and he did all these amazing things that we read about, right? Well, it was because of that purpose that he wanted every American to drive an affordable car. Well, I feel that way here. I feel like every American, it doesn't have to just be America, but every American should have the ability to do part-time income with real estate. And it shouldn't be so confusing and so upsetting to be able to learn it.
Right.
And that's exactly what it is that we work on.
Yeah, but the beginning is the hard part because you don't know how to start. I mean, I looked at some of the registration forms last night at the meetup, and people don't know where to start. It's my problem. I mean, I looked at it for years off and on. Like, well, where do you really start?
Right.
You got to get this, you got to get that, you got a lawyer, you get escrow, and accountant. Whoa.
Right.
So that's almost anything. How do you? If you can't start, it's dead.
Right. So if there's somebody does have that problem where they're having trouble starting, we created. It's just apropos that you say that.
Step by step. We
created a quick start manual. So if you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/quick start, flippinghousesforrookies.com, right? It's flip start M. Quick start, yeah. flippinghousesforrookies.com/quick start. We have a new product that we just released actually last night at the meetup, but it's been about a week, where we actually, the three of us actually do a checklist verbally. So what you get is, I think it's a 40 or 45 minute conversation with us talking, and I rattle through, it's mostly me, but I rattle through exactly how to get started. I show you how to find the leads. I show you how to talk, what to say on the phone. I tell you what to say when you're in the house. I show you how to negotiate, and I tell you what paperwork to use. It's just a quick start. It's not everything you need, but it will get you started and in the right direction.
Right.
Okay. So you find that at flippinghousesforrookies.com/quick start. And what we did is, it depends on how you like to absorb information. There's a video, and then there's an audio file, and then there's a transcript. And what you do is, it's a hard copy, so we actually mail them to you. So you actually get the transcript. We printed the transcript for you, or you can we have a USB port or USB drive, and you plug it into any device you want, and you can download the audio file or the video file or the transcript if you want. Also, for the meetup last night, which I'll extend to anybody that's listening, I also put a couple of bonuses in there. I actually recorded 2 phone calls. One was with a prospect, one with a suspect. It's actually me doing the for sale by owner script, and one is a good one and one is a bad one. One the good lead, and one is a bad lead, and you can actually hear me doing that. And we're also going to I did a description video of how to use the FSBO script, so we're going to put that in there too. So
nice.
It's a lot of value for the money. If somebody's having trouble getting started, that's a great place to go. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is if you get the psychology right, like your own head, your own conversation in your head, either by accident or by cleverness, right? Then things always seem to work better. And that's what I'd like to talk about, is just for a minute or two, and then we're going to talk about how you could do this part-time and make it full-time, right? So what happens is there's so much environmental noise. So many people telling you, like the realtor's telling you have to use them, and the banker's telling you have to use them.
The realtor. Or the
use the realtor,
right.
Or use the banker, or the attorney saying, well, you can't close without me.
Right.
Right. So that's kind of like, the insurance guy is saying you have to have insurance, which that part is true, but the others are a little bit less true. Right. And then you come along and you hear, somebody at the RIA meeting talking about how you can wholesale deals. All you got to do is wholesale deals. You just do this and you just do that. And then you go out and it's very hard to do. Right? And then you come along and you hear me say, oh, this is just what you have to do. Now, I'm of course being biased, but I can tell you that, for example, my latest coaching client that just signed up, I put her on to the how to buy real estate without a loan course. And she's been with me on the 27th, I think she'll be with me a full month. And she's
Yeah.
already bought 2 houses.
Yep.
Okay, she's rocking. But it's because she actually went in, studied the course.
She eats the frog.
Yeah, she eats the frog. Yeah, she studied the course. What did you find on that, Em? Oh, you thought we forgot about it?
So it's a Mark Twain quote.
Okay.
He said, "If it's your job to eat a frog, it's best to do it first thing in the morning. And if it's your job to eat 2 frogs, it's best to eat the biggest one first." Eating the frog, and this is a commentary, eating the frog means to just do it, otherwise the frog will eat you, meaning that you'll end up procrastinating it the whole day.
There you go.
Go, Mark.
Eat the frog.
Eat the frog. There you go. Okay, thanks, Em. All right, good. So, I guess what I'm trying to say I'm trying to sort all this out and try to give it easily, and it's not so easy this morning, but, most people only know stuff that qualifies as common knowledge. Isn't that interesting? Most people only know stuff that qualifies as common knowledge. How much more effective would it be if you had a greater understanding of something? Like, I know we talk about words all the time, like the definition of words.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you that it's really been important to me, because most people understand words because it's like an intuitive definition. It's like they hear it in a sentence and they think they understand the word.
Happens all the time.
Right? But they don't even know that they have a misunderstood word, or they don't even know that they dubbed in the wrong definition. Now, the interesting thing is, and this is why I'm so profound about it, I personally believe, and nobody's taught this to me, it's just my own belief, is that words and symbols are associated to mental image pictures. So if you have an idea of what a cat looks like, it's a mental image picture. So when you see the words or symbols, it recalls or stimulates that mental image picture, or creates a picture.
Right.
Right?
And it could be the wrong picture.
And if it's the wrong picture, what happens?
You have false data.
Right.
If
So
you're working with false data.
yeah, exactly. We were talking about that a few shows ago, right?
Yeah.
So how does that affect people in business? So if somebody is trying to do a part-time business to get a full-time income, and they don't know what the ideal scene is, or what the correct decisions or the correct successful actions are, how are they able to actually apply? Because they're looking at these mental image pictures. They don't even know they're looking at them, but they're looking at these mental image pictures, or these thoughts, and they're thinking, this is what I have to do. But all it is just busy work. It's not the right work that gets the result that they want.
Right. Right.
And more importantly, they believe that it's just, that what they know, they don't even realize that it's common knowledge. Like, for example, I shouldn't say this, but my mother-in-law does this. She comes to me and tells me all this stuff that she knows, and I'm thinking, well, I saw that on the news too, It's not, you're not like really smart because you just told me this. I saw it on the news too, right? But she feels like she doesn't realize that it's just common knowledge.
Right.
So she feels like it's like she's like got one-upmanship from somebody else.
Right. Now, if you know the story behind the news, because the news can sometimes not be completely correct, or very biased. If you know the story behind that, then that might be something to listen to.
Yeah, well, so the news is very simple. I mean, the news is just like newspapers. It came from newspapers before, because before TV was around, there was newspapers. But the news its job is to get eyeballs on it. So
Exactly. They tell you what, they think will bring the most eyeballs on it.
Right.
And it's not necessarily the complete truth.
Right. So they just want eyeballs so they can sell their advertising. So with that said, I would like to go over a little bit a list that I created for last night's meetup on what you can do and some of the important things that are not necessarily common knowledge. By the way, how do you figure out what's common knowledge and what's not common knowledge? You have to qualify it and test it, which is where I was stuck on the words and the mental image pictures, because most people do not qualify their definitions of a word or a concept, correct?
What do you mean qualify?
Well, you think you know what the word means, so you never qualify. You never look
they
it
never
up.
check. Oh no.
You never. They
No.
never look it up.
No.
They never qualify to see if it's correct. Right.
It's worse than that.
Why?
Somebody will get a word, and it sounds a little bit like that one, and they'll just go, "It must be the same," because they don't know what that is. It's like a letter or two different, but it's
Homonymic.
close enough.
Homonymic, yeah.
Oh, it's not even that close. It's just like it's similar. Nickelodeon, Mixolydian. I mean, just a couple of funny words. Blah, blah, blah. Is that? No, and they don't bother.
What about if it almost is actually the same word, like C? There's the letter C, there's the C,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's the seeing with the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, if you're hearing it, you'd have to check it out. If you're reading it, you should know the difference. But I'm talking even different. They don't bother, so it can be pretty bad. I've helped people with that. So no, you have to get the dictionary.
yeah, communication.
Right. So clarification and understanding, and I think the reason why I'm bringing this up is because we have a lot of nomenclature, and nomenclature simply means that one word has one meaning in one subject. You go to another subject, it has a different meaning. You go to another subject, it has another meaning.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot of words in real estate that have other meanings other places. Like, for example, option. I mean, go in the stock market business, and it's got a whole different connotation, right? Going just in regular life, and an option is something different than what we talk about. So the word has other definitions.
Well, there's specific use. I mean, there's a basic meaning that would cover everything at the
Right,
bottom,
right.
but the specific uses vary, and how it's used in different subjects.
So if a person doesn't know what an option is, and we start talking about options, because that's how you're going to make the most amount of money in this business, is understanding options, right? If you wanna run a part-time business making full-time income, understand how options work. Understand that you can control a house, never buy it, have no risk, and use a $10 deposit, $100 deposit, whatever you want, and make a small fortune just off the basic concept of what is an option.
Right.
And it's so misunderstood, it's pathetic.
Yeah, get this though, if you don't understand, I don't understand the words that well and what it really, really means, how are we going to talk to the seller
Or
or
are
the
they gonna
buyer?
right.
I heard your coaching call the other day from Monday, and someone was speaking to a seller, and gets to the house. She didn't know what he was talking about. It was a misunderstood word.
Yeah.
Right.
I know.
Right.
I don't want to bring it up now and start a can of worms here. I knew exactly the word she missed because he said something, and she didn't think about it because she didn't know what he meant.
Right.
And if you don't have it really, really straight,
That's
you're not going
right.
to explain it to the other guy. He's
Right.
not going to get it.
I'm
So
not
you both lost.
I'm not throwing you under the bus here, but this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So you start off with ignorance, and then you get to awareness. So your awareness at this particular point is going and closing the deal on the house.
Mhm.
Really the awareness you should be thinking, which is another level up, is how do you do the paperwork,
Mhm.
right? And how do you close the deal legally,
Mm.
right? And I had made a comment not too long ago that when I'm doing deal structuring, I'm actually looking at paperwork, and then I kind of like
In your
reverse
mind.
engineer it. Yeah,
Like
and I don't
those
even-
are the pictures.
I
that
don't
are
even
going
know I'm
through.
doing it, which is one of the reasons why. I mean, even everybody does it. It's like
Right.
I'm looking at these concepts, and I don't even know they're there. It's like saying to a fish, "Hey, look at the water," and he's like, "What water?"
Mm.
You know, he's surrounded by it. He doesn't even know he's immersed in it. You know, so to your point, you know, when you get through enough deals, and you know how it's going to work, then you'll figure it out. The point is how do you start that first one?
Sure.
Right.
Right? How do you do that first one?
Right. So you're not busy all the time, but you're actually being productive.
Right. So last night we were talking about buying over leveraged properties, and I gave an example of buying $160,000 house. In other words, its after renovated value, which is its comp, is worth $160, right? And they owe $180, but it had a $1,310 payment.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in that particular case, the seller, right? The seller has a problem because it's going to cost him between 12 and 15% to sell, right? Because it's going to be 6% for the realtor or the marketing, depending on which way they're going to do it. It's 3% for closing costs. It's going to be 3% for negotiating because on MLS it's a 97%.
Yep.
You know, between what they're asking and what they get is a 97%
Right.
number, so it's 3% negotiating fee. And then there's 3% deferred maintenance, right? And that's usually either paying off the seller to make, the buyer to make them happy, or because some inspector told them they had to do something, or it's actually doing some repairs.
Right.
It's usually deferred maintenance, right? So it's 12 to 15%, right? So this person here has, well, if we were to do, I didn't do this math last night, but if we have a $180,000 house, right, and we multiply it by 12%, and that's being conservative, that's $21,600, right? So they owe $180,000, and they got $21,000 in selling costs, so they're $40,000 upside down. What do? That's a big number.
It is a big number.
So what we do is we come along and we say to them that we'll give them the $180,000, and the point is that we give them the $180,000 based on what they owe today, right? And the reason why we're doing that is because we're going to go find a seller. We're going to take the seller and get him to understand that he needs to give us 10 years. So we're going to buy an option from him, or we're going to create an option with him. We're going to give him $100 to buy the option, and we're going to say, okay, I'll buy the house for $180,000 today. I'll pay the $1,310 a month, but I need 10 years to pay you off. Anywhere in that 10-year period, I can pay you off.
Sooner, yep.
I can pay any time sooner than the 10
Right.
years. And the reason why we need 10 years is so that the debt can come down and the equity can catch up.
Exactly.
It's the only way to do it.
And so it relieves the debt front that seller is experiencing.
Right. And
And
the
plus-
problems that go along with
And
it.
the problems that go along with it. And additionally, they're able to then get a new mortgage for whatever place, they're obviously wanting to move or something.
Right.
Because they can show the bank that debt is covered. So they're able to go and get another mortgage.
So let's find out why is the seller going to sell? Why is it going to take 10 years? What are his choices? So his choices are he could keep the house and keep paying,
Right.
which is annoying to him in most
Right.
cases. Whereas other choices is he could walk away and ruin his credit and have the whole
Foreclosure and all of
which
that.
goes on forever and
Ever
ever and
and
ever.
ever,
It's
yeah.
phone calls and lawyers and mail, and it's just really rough. Right?
Yeah.
It's a real big ego killer, right? Or they can short sale it and go
Mhm.
through that struggle.
But that also wrecks your credit.
Forget about that. But even
Yeah.
before you get to the short sale,
Yeah,
getting
if
the
the short
bank,
sale-
getting the bank to
To-
say this is a good reason to short sale.
Exactly.
And by the way, you not paying is a good reason to short sale.
It's not.
The bank.
It's not a
no.
good reason. They are very
No.
difficult traditionally to work with.
There needs to be some real good, healthy story there,
Mhm.
right?
I can't pay because.
Well, yeah, I lost my left arm in the war.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Type of thing. You know what I mean? Or whatever. There has to be I forgot what they call, some sort of a distress letter they have to
Yeah,
write
yep.
for the bank to be able to accept it. So short sales are not that easy.
Mm-hmm.
There are professionals that do them, and they're very hard. The last one I did was already in process for a year, and it took me 4 months to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
They had told
Yeah.
me it was ready, and it still took me actually 4.5 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what choices does this seller have? He owes $180,000. It's worth $160,000. He's upside down $40,000 because it's going to be $21,000 in closing costs,
Yeah.
being conservative, right? And it's going to be another $20,000 that he's upside down. So he's got to come up with $41,000. What
Mhm.
else could he do?
Right.
Unless he comes to us. And then we come along and say, okay, so we'll give you the $180,000. We'll make the $1,310 payment, and we'll be responsible for all the repairs after 30 days.
Mhm.
The first 30 days he's responsible. After the first 30 days, the first 30 days he's responsible, and then we're responsible after that. So where are we going to get the money from? So we're going to get the money from going and finding a buyer, right, that is willing to put down a few $1,000s, $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000, whatever, but he's going to put down a few $1,000s, and he's going to make the $1,310 payment.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, here's the interesting thing. Suppose you had a person that was in foreclosure.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just imagine this, okay? So you have a person that's in foreclosure, right? And he lost a house, and he's got a family and a couple kids. We did this again last night. He's got a family and a couple kids, right? And every day he's going to work and he's working hard and he's got them in some apartment somewhere or something like that. And or they're living in mom and dad's house. You know, they're living in a place that is not conducive for them to like grow up and like do things, right?
One
so
bathroom.
So just correction, he's not in foreclosure. He was in foreclosure. His house
Lost the house.
He lost the house.
And now he's in some rent.
Right.
And he's living in mom and dad's house with his wife
just
and
not
2 or
a good
3 kids.
situation.
And it's just a rough decision. He comes home every day. He's wondering where the kids have been all day. You know, where were they playing? They didn't have a yard to play in. You know, or they, you know, where were they or who were they hanging around with? Or they getting involved with, you know, kids with drugs and, you know, all these kind of things happen because they're not in a good environment.
Right.
Right. And then all of a sudden he stumbles across my ad. It says house for sale, no bank qualifying. Right. And it says credit not important. Call. What do you think he's going to do?
He's going to call. Why would you not?
And would he consider the $180,000 a problem?
No, especially if you give him that length of time.
Right. So I'm going to give him 10 years.
Yeah.
So he's going to be able to put his family into this house. All he needs is a few $1,000s to give me to get in the house.
Yeah.
And make his payments at $1,310 every single month. Now the interesting thing is the biggest benefit that this guy gets is he pays a rent and he gets principal reduction.
Right.
Because I did the math on this house, right? So if he pays for 10 years, if he pays $1,310, he actually pays like $157,000.
Right.
But he reduced the mortgage from $180 down to $110,361. So after 10 years, he owes $110.
Quick question. We usually don't give principal reduction.
Right.
But in this case, you do because it's so over leveraged. It's so long. It needs
how
to
much
be
of
done.
the portion of that $1,350 or whatever that he's paying every month gets applied to principal reduction?
Little more each month.
Most people only know the stuff that qualifies as common knowledge. And that's what both of you are doing to me right now.
Yes. Yes, we are.
Most people only know the stuff that is considered common knowledge. And this is how you're going to work less and make more, like Ron LeGrin says. You need to think like this. Because what I'm saying is we're doing a slot deal. Okay? And instead of doing a 2-year deal and promising to pay a 2-year deal, because normally we would throw this deal out. He owes $180. It's worth $160. What do? I'm telling you, what we do is we have to get enough time to reduce the debt and increase the equity. So if he's willing to do it for 10 years, which he should, he's got plenty of benefits for doing that. Now we advertise it, right? We're going to get $5,000 or $10,000 from our buyer.
Right.
And we're going to match the buyer and the seller. So think of it this way. So I buy the house from you. I say, Naomi, I'll give you the $180.
Yep. Totally got it.
I'll give you $1,310 a month.
Totally got it.
And I need 10 years.
Totally got it.
So I created an option.
Yep.
How much should I pay for that option?
$100.
$100.
Yeah.
Okay, now I go find Peter, who's the buyer, and say, hey, Pete, you know, I know you kind of got a rough situation here. If you give me $8,000 down, and I'm arbitrarily picking that number, you give me $8,000 down, and you pay me $1,310 a month, I'll give you 10 years. Right? He says, yeah, I'll do that. So technically what happened, and this is what I was just talking about a few minutes ago, is you guys are worried about how to sell the deal. I'm worried about how to do the paperwork, because really what happened is I bought an option agreement from you for $100, and I sold it to Pete for $8,000.
So what might or go ahead.
So the paperwork says, in the paperwork, what does it say? It says I'm buying for $180.
Yep.
I'm paying $1,310.
Yep.
So what does that mean?
You're paying $1,310.
So who gets a principal reduction?
So because there's a mortgage on the property, and usually principal doesn't reduce that fast unless the mortgage is like more in an advanced stage.
Okay.
with amortized interest. I guess it depends on what stage that
Right.
mortgage is at.
So why are you worried about that?
More of curious.
Okay.
I don't have to be worried
Well,
about it.
my question is, if you're giving the buyer principal reduction,
Mm-hmm.
how does the seller get $180,000 if at the end he pays $110,000?
Say that again.
Are you paying the seller $180,000?
Yeah. So oh my God. So you're missing the important things. So when
No, I
you
get-
when
well, I
you
just
sign
want
up
my questions.
when you sign when I signed the deal with Naomi,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
how much am I'm paying today's market what's owed today
Was 180,
was 180.
right? But you're going to pay that.
I'm agreeing I'm agreeing with her that I will assume or take over that $180,000 worth of debt.
Mm-hmm.
And that debt gets
And-
reduced to 110 by
It
the end
gets
of
reduced
So he's really
by the
not
by the
payment.
end
getting
of 10
180.
years.
He's getting whatever's left of it. Is he actually getting $180,000?
Who?
The seller.
No, he no, it's a
No,
slot
he's
deal.
just it's just taking over the debt, Pete.
Right.
It's
Okay. So that's
Right.
So I was thinking he's getting 180.
He is. He's getting relief from the 180. We're not giving it to him.
No,
We're
that's what I'm
gonna
saying. He's not getting 180.
right,
He's getting relief from that, and in 10 years, it's only 110.
right,
That gets paid.
right.
the thing
Well,
is, I mean, in a
it
sense,
could get paid anywhere along the line.
Right, but the point is he doesn't really get the 180. He doesn't
well, he
have
does
to.
get the
I mean,
180
he is
because
getting
he's
the 180
relieved from it.
He's relieved
Yeah,
from the
but
180.
I mean, he's not getting, like in a usual slot deal, you actually hand them a check. Here's your 180, bye-bye.
And a slot
It-
deal?
In the end, well, whatever you put on the contract, whatever you write on the contract that he's getting.
Right. So this one is
Oh,
different.
you got a confusion there. You never pay anybody any money in a slot deal. What are you talking about?
No, when he cashes out.
Right. In this particular case, instead of giving the guy 2 years, we're giving him 10 years because we need to let the debt reduce
Yeah.
to let the equity come in.
Mm-hmm. So in a sense, it's almost like a subject to that you're taking over the mortgage,
Right.
and in 10 years when it's lower,
Right.
the guy who bought
Because
in
I-
only has to get 110.
Right.
for
But
the
because
bank.
we're signing an option,
Right.
because we're writing an option and we're assigning it to the seller, we're giving him all those benefits.
Mhm.
Normally, if we stayed in a deal and we want cash flow, we would keep those benefits.
Mm-hmm.
So in this particular deal, I'm making $5,000, $8,000, $10,000 for
And that's
doing
it.
the paperwork.
You're walking.
All I'm doing is buying the
Right.
option for $100,
Mhm.
selling it for $8,000, $10,000, $12,000.
That's
Exactly.
still a miracle on a property that would be 40,000 in the hole,
Right.
and the seller doesn't have to pay any of that, and the buyer gets
Right.
a house of 1310, and in
Mhm.
the end, he's only maybe 110 or whatever the mortgage winds up at.
Right.
That was my question.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
thought
the-
at some point we'll come up with a check for the guy.
So here's my point:
No.
is
Where's that coming from?
how do you do this business part time and make full time income? There's a perfect example of how to do it. You have to have a system in place because systems work, okay, and systems have to be in place. What you can't be is a weekend player, okay?
Mhm.
Which the three of us in this room have that problem.
Mm-hmm.
We're weekend players. Okay? We want to
Mhm.
do it when we want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't do it when we have to do it. We do it when we want, when it's convenient for us, including me. You can't be a weekend player. When you get this deal, you got to run. I mean, like last night when I was talking about it, I said, strap a rocket on your ass and light it.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I'll give you an example. So I said, on the closing call, I was talking about doing a closing, right? And here's the language I wrote. When I come out to your house and I like what I see and you like me, are you ready to get the paperwork done while I'm there and sell you the house today? And if they say yes, then you strap a rocket under your ass and you go. You don't go when it's convenient for you. And I'm guilty of that the most, right? So you can't be a weekend player, right? Which means one that feels like he can coast along. So a weekend player is like he's already got his income taken care of, and he's just kind of like coasting along.
Mm-hmm.
And he does it when he feels like it. You and I call it hobby horsing, right? He's a hobby horser, and we are doing that. That's why we're having some of the troubles in this dynamic together, because we're doing that. Each one of us is doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't be a weekend warrior. You have to be ready to do that. But you don't have to. I mean, if you got a 9-to-5 job, you can do it. You just need to know how to do it gracefully.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what I'm trying to say in a long conversation here is that if you want to do a part-time business, if you only want to work 10 hours a week, and you want to work 10 hours a week, and I want to work 10 hours a week, that's 30 hours a week. What we need to do is be smart about when we're working or what we're doing, right? In the beginning, I talked about, go back to my notes here, right? So it's easy to be busy. It's more difficult to be productive. So what I'm saying is that you don't have to be pushy, right? So this deal that we just talked about that's 180, 160, are we being pushy?
No, we're just solving a problem.
But we knew how to find that guy and what to say to him. It didn't take long to put this deal together. It didn't take long. You could do this deal literally. You can meet. You can have a phone conversation with the seller on the phone, go out to the house, spend an hour with him out in the house, do the paperwork, and then spend maybe a couple hours doing some marketing over the course of a couple weeks, right? Meet with your seller. You could do this deal in 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
8 hours if you're fumbling around.
And 10 hours isn't bad for $8,000 or $6,000, even if it's that terrible.
Or $10,000 or $12,000.
Yeah, $1,000 an hour.
Problem is that we're not paying attention to the successful actions, and we're doing more of the unsuccessful actions, less of the successful actions, and we let life get in the way. Like you're doing your gardening, and I'm dealing with some of the stuff with my wife, and I donate at a church, so I do charity work at a church. And then I do my marketing business, and I'm doing the whole flipping house business has turned into something that I didn't know was going to take this much time. Naomi's got another business she's running, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like we're forced to do it part-time, and we think that we're doing it, and we're doing it, and we're not. It's like a weekend, we're coasting along. We coast week to week because we want to do it, and it makes us feel good. At least for me, I'm talking about me right now. It makes me feel good, but are we actually doing productive things? I mean, when we started this podcast, I kept saying an offer a day keeps the debt away. I'm not doing an offer a day. I'll fess up right now. I'm not doing an offer a day. I have 3 houses that I could buy right now that I just need to get on the phone, which I'm going to do this afternoon, and actually close them. Right? I mean, I believe I could do that. Naomi's got a deal. I've got to deal with a guy in Clinton, and you got an appointment that the guy keeps. I don't know if we can buy it, but we're pretty close on it. I talked to him a couple times, and things are just in the way. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, it's easier to think something done, and it actually takes doing it to get it done. Right. So, I mean, this whole business is promoted as you can do it part time, but I think that's when you know what you're doing and you just focus on it. And we're making progress. I mean, I'm renovating 2 houses. One's done. Had some offers. Finishing another one. You got a contract on one. It's not like we're not doing things. You want to do 2, 3, 4 a month, though. That's the difference.
Which is okay.
We're going to do 2 or 3 a month.
Yeah, that's
before.
Right.
So another.
I used to do 7 or 8.
Yeah, I mean, close on 2 or 3 for real. Right.
But I think
that's great. But a lot of people, if they did 2 or 3 a year, be like,
right.
I mean, last year I bought 1 house and I did one whole. I got 2 done this year, and I got the rest of the year to get 2, 3, 4 more. That's an improvement. Is that good? Yeah. Is it good enough for you? No. But at my stage,
understand
like,
this.
Not bad.
If I did this and just did this and did nothing else but this, I would close on 2 or 3 houses a month like nothing, and I would have plenty of time to go fishing and clamming and all those other things.
Yep.
It's because of the charity work at the church and because of the training business that I don't get paid nearly enough money. I mean, like doing this podcast, we don't get paid for this.
Right.
This is 2 hours a week for us, for all 3 of us. Each one of them. That's 6 hours worth a week, so that we can give this information.
Right.
And
which I think
why
is
do we
vital
do it?
for people to
I don't know
have.
why we do it, but we do it. We did the meetup last night. It was 4 hours. Emma and I probably spent 7 or 8 hours preparing throughout the month, and it was free. So, I don't know. I have to readjust that way of thinking in my mind. Point is if you want to make part-time, if you want to work part-time and make full-time money, you need to do the right things, but you need to isolate what those right things are. And I am telling you, and of course I'm going to tell you this, but if you did the How to Buy Real Estate Without a Loan course, that those are the specific things you need to do. And when I do those things, we buy houses.
Right.
We should ask Randy what she did.
I know exactly what she did. You want to know what she did?
Yeah.
I asked her the other day.
Yeah.
I asked her, you want to know
Yeah.
what she did?
Yeah.
She's a hustler.
Yeah.
Here's what she did. She went onto the mentor site,
Mm-hmm.
and her and Sean have been listening to you and I, the recordings that we have
Mm-hmm.
on making offers. And she's been listening to those recordings every day. She listens to those recordings of me making offers. And she's copied and duplicated. I'm telling you, Pete, it is one of the spookiest things I've ever heard. She gives my words back to me in a female voice. It is spooky, and she puts the right emotion in it. She does it exactly
Oh my
the way I do
God.
it.
That's great.
Out
She
of
had-
all the people I've ever trained,
Really?
she's come the closest to saying and doing shit that I did. But she bought 2 houses in 30 days.
And she has little cigars.
I don't know about that. I've never met her.
You know,
She was at one meetup. I never met her.
You haven't seen her since
I
the meetup?
never met
You're
her. She
kidding.
was in a meetup, and I met her. She was in the crowd,
Yeah.
yeah.
and I saw her in the crowd. I've never stood 3
You
feet
never
away
actually
from her. I've
met
never
her.
physically met her.
Wow.
I mean, we talk on the
Wow.
phone multiple times a week,
Uh-huh.
right? Kyle's the same way. Tim was the same way.
Oh,
I
they're
mean,
out of state. They have, it's
Yeah, but
understandable. She's in state.
She's in my backyard.
Yeah.
80% of my coaching clients right now are either in a deal or writing contracts. Last week was horrendous. I had 3 or 4 of them writing contracts last week, and I had all this other stuff going on, and I have to put this into my schedule to help them
Wow.
get their contracts.
Wow.
Which is the reason why I'm telling you some of the things. Now, for me, the coaching is a source of income, but it's not enough to make me stop flipping houses. It's nowhere
Right.
near that. It helps pay bills,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not like a house. I mean, I flip a house, it's 20, 30 grand.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've got 5 of them right now,
Right.
and I want to buy 2 or 3 more. Right? I mean, I've got 5 that we're working on that are vacant. There's more than that.
Mm-hmm.
There's houses that we got payments and stuff on, right? So, I don't know why we're talking about that, but the point is that
Even when you have crazy schedules like we do, if you know the actions, things are still going to happen.
to work part-time and make a full-time income, which is what you want, and which me, it's not what I want, but well, I do, but I want my business to do it. I don't want to do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm trying to train her. I'm trying to train you.
Yeah.
It's because I want to relieve myself from them, and it hasn't been as successful as I thought it was going to be. And part of the reason is you guys, because you're too busy. You don't take some of the things that I'm doing seriously enough, for whatever reason. It's not even because you don't want to. It's because it's this ignorance, awareness, implementation thing. Because you got to go through that yourself. I went through that. I can't teach you how to go through that. You have to do that yourself. It's like teaching you how to have sex. I could talk about it all day long and give you examples, and God knows I can go on the internet and show you how to do it. But until you actually do it yourself, you don't know how it feels.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it's like. You didn't go through the emotional state of it. You don't know. So so part of your training is you have to go through that. You have to go through that portion where it's like, that was a motivated seller.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know what a motivated seller sounds like, which is why I made these recordings. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to get off my soapbox in a second here. Recording a prospect call with a FSBO and recording a suspect call with a FSBO, I should have done that a year ago. You know how many people will help you? I'm going to tell you right now, the quick start course is $99 if you buy it in the next couple of weeks, because I got a $30 discount. I got to tell you that you should pay $1,000 for it.
Mm-hmm.
Just to listen to those 2 bonus calls. The 2 bonus calls, because that's how I got started. I was in a Ron LeGrand boot camp, and I heard the Lynette Wolf and Brian Wolf do it. And once I heard them do it, I'm like, shit, I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
I was there for 5 days in training. That 2 hours or hour and a half that I was there listening and making phone calls was what made me what I am today. Just hearing somebody do it.
When I talk to some of your coaching students or the people that come to the meetups, when they hear how you actually talk, like say you do a live call or
Right.
do a tape, a recording, they have no idea what it should sound like. They
Right.
don't know if it should be, hello, I am calling from, like a professional, or like, hey, how's it going? They have no idea what the tone of it should be, how your
Right.
presentation, just how it would be, and they're flabbergasted when they find it sounds like a conversation.
It's just simple.
Not
Yeah.
scared out of your wits, not professional. Talk to the guy, but they have no idea even what it should be as a tone,
Right.
as the mood of the thing, and they're shocked.
Right.
They're always shocked, like, oh, that's how you do it,
Right.
and so relief.
Right.
And sometimes it's not yours particular, but some of them are pretty messy, and it still works.
So here's what I'm going to say in final.
That's valuable.
Here's what I'm going to say in final. Okay, and then we're going to end off. So that's very correct, and we could do a whole show just on that. Okay, but I'm telling you, it is worth it to go listen to those calls and listen to that recording. It is so worth it. flippinghousesforrookies.com/quick start. But here's the point that I want to make in ending. It's like the sledgehammer going down. Here's what I figured out. You have two choices. If you wanted to be successful in this business and you want to cut down your time, and I got this from you, from Naomi. She doesn't even know this. I've not told her this yet. You can do one of two things. You can do a lot of phone calls or a lot of outflow, a lot of letters, a lot of signs, a lot of marketing so that you get a lot of inflow and pick the low-hanging fruit because you need volume to do that.
Yeah, the easy ones.
The easy ones, the low-hanging fruit, the people that are just motivated. If you do enough phone calls,
no matter what you say, they say yes.
Right.
No matter how the presentation goes, no matter how screwed up it is, they will give you their house because they appreciate you so much. They will literally just give you the house.
Yeah.
No money, no nothing, just give it to you. If you do enough phone calls and enough outflow, which takes money and energy, but it can happen.
Absolutely.
Or you can get really good at some of the things that I keep talking about, which is the way I prefer to do it. Do less phone calls, less volume, and be more clever with your seller. And have these words in your salesmanship in much better shape so that you don't have, so you can convert some of those people and take the ones that are not the low-hanging fruit and turn them into deals. And that's where Naomi and I are struggling because she's a good salesperson, but she's still learning from me. So her quality of sales needs to increase, right? No disrespect to her. It's just training, right? Because
Experience.
In my business, what's happening is that we I'm used to doing that. I'm always the one that's doing that. Now I step out of the spotlight and I put her there, and she's not trained. She's not me. So we're struggling with that. So the business is not set up to get that volume of call. So it's either I change the business and I get a lot of volume of call and I just give them to her and she just finds the low-hanging fruit and we do 1, 2, 3 deals a month or 2, 3 deals a month because there's just a lot of calls coming in and she just weeds through them and pre-qualifies them and says, okay, I'm going out and do this deal. Or I teach her how to. So I need to decide which model are we going to go after. Which way are we going to do it? Because we're in between. We're like between a shit and a fart. Pardon my French, but that's like where we're at.
They have a word for that, you know?
Yeah, we do.
I'm not going to say it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, I didn't know we had a word
I have an
for that.
Italian saying, but it's in Italian, so.
So I want to hear it now.
Schwart.
Well,
Schwart.
I'll translate it. When it's wet,
No, I
don't-
want to hear.
oh.
I want to hear it.
Quando sono moglie non si fa.
Okay, there you go.
And that means when they're wet, don't do it.
Okay.
Don't fart. It's wet. Don't do it.
Oh, Lord, I hope the
Of course,
listeners
the
appreciate
the
this.
problem is you
Where
don't know.
else are you going to hear this
How
kind
are we
of
going to
stuff?
turn houses into farts? We just did.
Schwartz.
That's what she said.
Schwartz.
All
May
right.
the
So,
Schwartz be with you.
so we're out of time. So hopefully we
We're out of
covered what you wanted to hear. Probably wasn't what you thought, but this is what you got to hear.
This is what you get.
So we worked on your awareness today. So it starts off with ignorance. You're not sure. You don't know what you don't know. Then you need to get your awareness up. And then once you get your awareness up, you need to start doing some doingness or implementation. And then once you get to that point, you're going to want to dedicate or not delegate. Sorry, yeah, that's the word. You need to delegate what you're doing, and that is where you're going to have a part-time business with a full-time income. Now you can excel all of that by just getting some of the training and implement it, just like what my coaching client did or my coaching clients do. Is I show them how to excel all that so you get through the ignorance, the awareness, the implementation a lot quicker. So it doesn't need to be a long runway. And most people train people by saying, follow me around for 6 years and I'll teach you what I do. When really what you need to do is you need to observe, figure out the successful actions, and give and organize those successful actions and give those to the person which is what I've done with some of my materials. And there's a lot of other people that have done what I've done. I just like to really keep it simple and make it so you get products really quick.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it for episode number 97. Let's just run through what we did and then close out. So today's title is A Part-Time Business That Produces a Full-Time Income. It's easy to be busy. It's more difficult to be productive. The real art is to be productive without being pushy. Success is doing more of the right things and a lot less of the wrong things. Making the right decisions and having the right mindset puts you on the road to abundance. In today's podcast, we will help you start traveling that road and get you out of your own way. So who's in your way?
Yourself.
Yeah. So did we cover that today?
Absolutely.
You feel that? You
Yep.
feel that way?
Yep.
Okay, good. We're over and out. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.